Hi guys, welcome back to Adulting But Not Really. Today I am joined by a guest. Introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Larissa, but you can call me Lari.
Where are you from? Age and something about yourself.
I am 19, almost 20. I'm from Brazil, and something about myself. I love reading.
True.
Yeah.
True. I feel like whenever I introduce you to people, I always say the whole lawyer thing because for me that's the most impressive part.
I was supposed to be turning into a lawyer, guys, but here I am in
She
business
fully
school.
did law school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 years and a half.
She's so impressive. Okay, so today I've decided to sit down with Larissa and discuss the whole topic of friendships. We're gonna be specializing a lot in female friendships because that's something that we have in common, especially being in like the same friend group. Larissa was actually in the back of the Gavi episode. She was the voice speaking in the back, but we never really like brought her along in the picture. So here's Larissa. This is what she looks like.
I'm the voice.
Yeah, she was the background voice. But yeah, so today we're going to be exploring friendship dynamics and I guess like our personal takes on it.
Yeah.
Especially you growing up in Brazil, me growing up in Spain, the US. There's multiple different dynamics that go on, especially with like
cultural
orientation, stuff like that. So something that I've talked about in other episodes, especially I've touched upon, I think in like almost every single episode I mention it like super randomly, that the type of people that you surround yourself with affects so much your self-worth and your own mental health and the way you see other people, especially being around toxic or immature or just not emotionally intelligent friendships sometimes can drag you down because they, even without them thinking or without them being self-aware, they might do slight comments or might do slight things that they don't understand how they're affecting your friendship and also their friends' mental health unwillingly, and it's not, most of the time is not genuinely done on purpose, but they do it without understanding the impact of it.
Yeah. And I think it's very important to let them know when they do these types of comments or when they put you in those situations, especially because sometimes people are not self-aware enough to know that they're hurting you. And well, if the problem keeps going, then that's a different story. Mm-hmm. But I like when my friends, this is something that I communicate to my friends very often. I like that they come to me when I do something wrong or when I hurt them in some way, because sometimes you might not know, or it's something that is so normal to you in other dynamics and other social contexts that you're not going to be aware of that.
Mm-hmm. And I think a really important and a constant struggle that I have is putting that boundary and that like endpoint with friendships on like, because I don't know how to communicate with someone like, hey, you're hurting me, saying these things. And I've had people make slight comments which they think they're funny, and I understand they're not trying to hurt me, they're trying to be the funny one in the friend group, and I understand they're not doing it to hurt me on purpose, but I don't know how to set that boundary and how to communicate with them and be like, actually, this is not really healthy or like nice for you to do. I know you were trying to make a joke, because some people generally will respond to you back and be like, I don't understand what the problem is. I thought I was being funny. Yeah. Or like, you shouldn't take it very personally.
I think that's also so important. It's so important for you to be vulnerable with your friends, because you don't have to share every single bit of your life or every single thing that hurt you or every situation that you're going through. But when you're more vulnerable and when you approach the situation, like even in a like overview, you don't have to go into detail, that helps people understand your head better. That happened with me after I was in my previous college that I was struggling with my mental health and everything, and I had mostly older friends. Mm-hmm. And it was very hard for me to communicate those boundaries because sometimes, I was 16, they were 20. It's a little bit of a difference.
It's an age gap.
So I didn't grow up to the point that they were, and they also were over the phase that I was. So it's important to have that vulnerability and that communication. So
Well, yeah, that kind of brings us on to challenges.
Yeah.
I think one of growing up, especially, I realized how when you're little, you kind of just go to school, you get placed with like a random friend group, you run around the different friend groups. Sometimes there's so much jealousies, and I've personally experienced a lot of problems. And I've actually listened to a podcast the other day of this YouTuber. Her name is like Sadie Correll, and she was talking about how growing up she struggled a lot with friendships and like depression, and it would like her depression got worse because it got fed up with how she lacked a lot of strong friendships, and she would go on Instagram or like Snapchat and see other people hanging out without telling her that they were hanging out. And I remember, I mean, now it's probably 10 times worse for the kids, especially like my little cousin was telling me how she sometimes struggled with that because she didn't have a phone yet, and people would be hanging out, but like she felt left out. And I don't know if you experienced the same, but that was a big challenge growing up.
Yeah, for me as well, especially because I got a phone at a very older age compared to my friends, and also I was only allowed to have WhatsApp and then a little bit of Snapchat, you know. So also, yeah, I think at that age we also don't know how to differentiate if the person didn't invite you because she was not able to reach you, or she didn't invite you because she didn't want to.
Yeah,
that was really hard. I had a hard time with that as well.
Yeah, and I think it's just gotten more complicated as we've grown up, because now it's they're not little kids that they just didn't just like invite you to a sleepover,
or like the mom calls
party.
the other mom.
Exactly. Oh my god, I had multiple moms call my mom during birthday parties, and they would just become a whole mess. But at least the adults were more, obviously they were more mature and more intelligent about how to navigate the situation. But I think now that we're adults, especially in London, living, like, everybody's an international student in our school, so it's very much like, I don't know, I think it's so different now people are like thinking about who they invite, who they don't.
Now it's because before it used to be like, okay, you're gonna do a birthday party, you invite the whole classroom, your whole grade, and then now we have to think about it, and now we also have like, sometimes we have some expenses with with hosting people, or with
it becomes more complicated.
It becomes more complicated. And also, now we are the ones that have to deal with the fact that maybe this person on the friend group X doesn't like person in the friend group Y, and that is so complicated. That overwhelms me constantly. Yeah. Like, my birthday is coming up and I'm going insane. Like, what should I do? I think I'm just gonna stay home. No, of course it's a joke, but it's very complicated.
I struggle with that a lot, especially with like ex-boyfriends or ex-partners. It just becomes so much even more complicated, and how to navigate that situation. And also keeping up with friendships, making like, I feel like I have this pressure on myself to see so many different people throughout the week, because I'm like, if I don't see them that week, like, maybe like the friendship isn't as strong anymore, or like I try to reach out, but then like we can't make plans because she's busy, I'm busy, maybe I already made plans with another friend, and I feel like I need to be much more tactical about how I see people, and I don't want them to get the wrong impression.
At the same time, give you some me time, and maybe your social battery dies, and
that's another thing.
I think it's very hard, especially because now we have different schedules in uni. We have some people who are working, some people are involved in so many societies and clubs, and it gets more and more complicated. But also, I think both of us are very good in, like, I want to introduce this friend to another one. I think they would be a great match. They would hang out fine. It would be nice, and then that kind of takes out the pressure. You can all hang out together now.
Yeah, actually, that was one of the things that I got told by like my friend in Miami at the time, because back in Miami I had a complete different mentality about friendships.
Same.
I was always so scared of mixed people, which is I'm like the complete opposite now. But I used to be so scared. I'm like, well, they don't like the same thing, or they're not the same vibe, or I met this person through this friend group and this person through another friend group, so they probably would never get along. And then now it would really surprise you that the most random people actually do click together. Like, opposites do attract most of the time.
Yeah, I met most of our friend group through you.
Yeah,
and that's amazing.
And I would just mix random people.
Yeah, exactly. And it's people that, like, if I didn't have someone that introduced me to them, maybe I would never approach them, or they would never approach me. And I think that's very valuable. And also getting into the topic of, I'm jealous of Lucia, I'm not gonna introduce her to anyone else. I feel like some people have that, and it makes life so much more complicated.
It really does.
Yeah.
Also, well, it's kind of changing, kind of diverting the topic, but when it comes to competition and jealousy, because not only do we have uni, but we also have like work.
Yeah.
People who work, people who are more achieved, especially with money sometimes. Either they make more money or maybe they got an internship. LinkedIn looks like hell right now.
Oh my God.
Everybody's going off about their
Turned
summer
off
internships.
all my notifications.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's all a competition. And then I have to sit back and like, I have to sit back and relax and think about it and be like, somebody else's success doesn't take away from mine.
Exactly.
And I just need, if anything, I can learn so much from how they did it. And I can sit down, ask questions and be like, can you help me out now? Yeah. Or if they need any help, like I can also help them out. Like it doesn't, it's two completely different journeys. Yeah. We're on two completely different paths. And I think that's my way, because I am guilty. Like I'm human, I'm guilty. Like my first reaction sometimes is like, oh my God, like why am I not doing that? Yeah. And I compete myself and I'm like, wait, no, relax. Like, this doesn't have anything to do with me. Like, I should celebrate them for their accomplishments. Yeah. And then, if anything, like, they can help me out. And then they'll celebrate me when I do my own accomplishments.
Yeah, and it's so important to support your friends in every aspect. Like, I have an amazing friend. She is an illustrator. She goes to law school. She illustrates. She fights jiu-jitsu. Like 100 things that I don't know how she can fit in the schedule. Mm-hmm. And she just released a book, which is amazing. And the book got to my house like 2 days ago. Mm-hmm. And I was jumping out of happiness. Can I draw? No. Am I going to be an illustrator? No. But it's so good that if someday I'm, for example, opening my brand and doing the visual identity, maybe she can help me out with that. Or me being in business school can help her with her marketing strategy, and we complement each other in those means, you know.
I guess this is a little bit more of an in-depth topic, but I grew up a lot. Well, I'm guessing in Brazil you also experience something similar, but at least in like warm climates, you're always going to the pool or the beach. Yeah. Especially with female friendships, you're always outside. I experience a lot of, and I know again it's kind of like society's fault kind of, and the world of like social media and people comparing themselves to like the Victoria's Secret models were a huge thing when I was in middle school and high school. So I would constantly go to a friend's pool party and we would be commenting about like, oh, look how thin she is, or like I would go to my friend's house and we would be at the pool and she'll tell me like how little she ate that day, and it would be so it would be such a competition between like girls' bodies and who had a better body, and I don't know if,
and that is it. Like getting from that topic, it's so important for us to constantly compliment our friends.
I was gonna say
so important, because sometimes the person has a big insecurity that you don't know about, and maybe you like. She's just like, okay, maybe I'm beautiful. I think it's amazing when we compliment our friends, and it's so nice to see that they're happy with the comment that you made. Yeah. So every time that you get the opportunity, for example, my roommate cooks amazing, and she has physical appearance. She's beautiful, and she has a very nice hair. It's something that
I did notice her hair the first time.
Beautiful. And I like that is something that I admire in her, and every time that I get the opportunity, I make sure to like, hey, your food today, amazing, you know. And it's important to know that you can talk to your friends as well. So like, oh, my hair is, I don't know, should I do this or that? I think it's
actually that happened to me yesterday. I was having such a, you know, one of those days where you, like nothing has changed, but you just feel like not ugly, but like rotting. Yeah. Like my outfit wasn't right.
Yeah. Put sweatpants and that's all.
Yeah. I kept like trying different outfits. I changed my outfit 3 times throughout the day, and it just didn't feel right. Yeah. And then I was walking to dinner, and you were there, and I walked down and Mia looks up to me and she goes like, oh my God, Lucia, why is this outfit so good?
Very classy. Your outfit yesterday to dinner was amazing. She was wearing like a very nice trench coat with her purse. It was amazing.
Oh, thank you. I literally, I looked at the mirror 3 seconds before walking out the door. I looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, I guess it's gonna work, but I feel like absolute shit.
Yeah.
And the minute Mia said that, it's nothing that actually changed physically. It's just all in your head. Yeah. It's just one of those days that my head was just rotting. And the minute Mia complimented me for my outfit, I was like, oh. Anyways, that felt really nice.
Yeah, it does feel really nice, and it's nice to know that people notice you, and you know what I mean. Like because you didn't like your outfit, okay, but you put an effort to it.
Yeah.
So at least like, oh, I put an effort to it. I look nice. That's good, you know?
Yeah. No, I felt really nice. And also constantly, I feel like growing up now, I never make comments about anyone's body anymore. Yeah. And that's something that I've learned the hard way, and something that I realized that it would hurt me when people did that to me. Actually, one of the reasons why I I started loving my body so much is because I knew that I was never gonna be thinny abs.
Oh, same.
That type of girl.
Same.
I knew I was never gonna do that. But I would look at girls that had the similar body type as me, and I was always super insecure about how like wide my hips were.
Yeah.
And I looked at like Instagram models that had like wide hips like me, or like big thighs, and I realized like I was like, they look so good.
Yeah.
I can look so good rocking those thighs. Or like I started at the end of high school, I started being friends with girls that never made comments about anybody's body. They would have they would bring so much food to the beach. Like they wouldn't be scared of eating at the beach in the middle of like the whole day. I started eating, and like they would like slouch like that in the middle of the beach, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll slouch too. And they weren't constantly like sucking. I don't know, like being around people who make you feel good with what you currently have, and not be like, oh, maybe if you don't eat for the next week, or if you eat less for the next week, or you count your calories for the next week, maybe you'll be able to look like me.
No, now that we traveled to Canarias together, so we were at the beach, and apart from like traveling with my best friend, because she's my sister, she travels with my family all the time, but I did other trips with other friends, and I think that was the first time that I was like, oh, I'm eating what I want. We were having beers and soda, and one soda after the other, trying Canarias typical food, and I would be so happy, and like I didn't feel bad about my body in the beach, you know?
Yeah, no. Yeah. I remember we were at the beach, and I went to my little cousin was with us.
Yeah,
and then
she's amazing, by the way.
She's so
Eva,
cute.
we love you.
I love Eva. And I went to drop off my little cousin because she had to go to a birthday party, which she didn't want to go.
We're cooler.
Yeah, no. We were actually walking back. She was like, "Oh my god, I want to stay with you guys, but I have to go to this and this birthday party because she invited other girls in the class." And I was like, "Eva, like you should go socialize with people your age." But I dropped her off, and then I was hungry. I was like, "I'm gonna buy snacks for everyone." And I came back, and we were eating more snacks at the beach, and I was like, why not? But having those like healthy friendships, and also I can't be too harsh on the people that those comments, because they were so young when they did those comments, and also they were just a product of what they were consuming on social media.
And even us, maybe sometimes we did not verbalize those comments, but we used to think, we used to pay attention, we used to like notice and kind of judge people, you know, even in our heads. But well, we were so immature, and we were human, and we were thought this way, and used to this type of body being pretty, and this one not, that we used to make those comments in our heads, and well, it's good to grow up.
It's good to grow up.
Yeah.
Now I want to kind of transition to the whole topic of kind of low maintenance and high maintenance relationships with friendships, especially since we're international students. You definitely have friends back home in Brazil. I have friends back home in the US, and it's very hard keeping in contact. Also, just within London, people that you don't see day to day, people that you don't have class with, how to keep that communication and not make the other person feel like we forgot about them.
I think I come from the capital of Brazil, but at the same time it's such a small city, and you know everyone from all the schools, especially with social media. You always know someone that knows someone, and you would end up in those parties with all the people that you knew. And I think before London, I was not used to like inviting some types of friends to some types of gatherings, and you know, it was kind of like everyone's together, and I never really had to thought about that, you know. It was kind of, you know, everyone that you knew would be in this party automatically, or in this gathering automatically. So when I came to London, it was like, wow,
you have to keep up with different friend groups.
I have to keep up with different friend groups. Especially because we all grew up together. We were talking about this earlier. When you grow up with some kind of friends that were there since day one, basically, it's something that is so natural, and it's already in your routine, that it kind of it falls into your routine. That's
you don't
the best
really
way
have
to
to
do it.
think about it.
Yeah.
For me, a way that and I actually learned this when I moved to the US from the Canary Islands, is I had to keep up with my friends.
Yeah.
It's just most of the work is actually done by my mom because I didn't have a
Yeah.
phone yet. So she would text the other moms when I would be in the summer in the Canary Islands, and the moms would set up like a picnic or something with the girls, and that's how I kept up. But nowadays, through honestly Snapchat, I don't use Snapchat at all. Like, I stopped looking at stories, I stopped using Snapchat, but I only use it to send one snap of my face or something I did that day to all my long distance friends.
Yeah,
it's so good because I don't have to, sometimes I don't need to put in the effort to type, because you have I have such a busy life. I'm sure they have their busy lives. Like, my friends back in Miami have sororities, clubs, uni, they have like work, some of them, like they have such busy boyfriends too, they have busy lives. So me just knowing that they thought of me, they took a picture of something random or of them and they sent it to me, I'm like, okay, that's nice. And then when I'm like a week or 2 weeks away before going back home, I text them, I'm like, hey, what days are you available, like we need to meet up. Sometimes my friend Fernanda and I do this with like 3 friends, just because like they'll not study in Miami, they study like in Washington DC, or they study in North Carolina, and most of the time when I'm in Miami, they might not be in Miami because they're doing internships or college. What we do is we send voice memos of whenever something big happens. Like, for example, I went on a date. I sent her an entire voice message. I'm like, hey, Fernanda, so update on my life. I went on this date. And then I tell her everything about the date, and then I send it to her. And then she'll like listen to it. And even if she responds to me a week later, because she's busy, or she responds to me like 3-4 days later, or even an hour later, she'll send me a voice memo back. And I don't judge. I've told this to all my friends, because they're like, I'm sorry I didn't respond to you right away. I'm like, I don't mind you responding to me in a week.
I am that friend. I am the friend that takes long to respond. And my friends know that. But it's just like, it's so much stuff in my head, and I feel so overwhelmed constantly. And sometimes I take long to respond because I want to read or listen to your voice message when I have time, so I can actually pay attention. So it's...
Especially when they're long. When they're like 4 minutes, I'm like...
Yeah, if your friends do this, don't take it personally. Maybe they just want to listen to it later and have time to actually answer and pay attention to what you're saying. What
I do is whenever, like, for example, my friend Fernanda, she sends me one time like 8 different audios, 4 minutes each. Like, do the math. So I see that she sends me it, and I pin it. Like, there's a way to pin your chats on WhatsApp. And amazing. I pin it. So whenever I go on WhatsApp, I see at the top that she has sent me something. So I think, when I ever have time, I'll open that and I'll listen to it.
That's amazing.
And then once I've done with that, then I unpin it. And if she sends me something again, I'll pin it again.
No, and I've had I struggled a lot to reach out to people, because I used like, when you think, I have to talk to XYZ, and then you just go on with your day, and so many things happen. And that thought stays on the back of your head, but you don't really have the time for it. I get that. And then I think the last thing we're going to be covering is how to balance romantic relationships when you have friends, or how to support a friend that's in a romantic relationship, knowing that they don't have as much time as they had previously to spend with you. Actually, when I was in high school, and I've talked about this in another episode, but when I was in high school, I'm so proud of myself. I used to see my friends that went to a different school. My 2 closest friends at the time went to 2 different schools. The 3 of us went to different schools. My ex-boyfriend lived an hour away driving, and it was kind of mid-distance. Like, yes, I could have driven to him after school, but I didn't, because I had a job and I had after-school clubs. I was vice president of like 3 clubs. I was working the dogs like 4 hours afternoon. Then I would have homework for hours, because I was in really intense classes. So during the week, I would make no effort to see him, and I would not care if he didn't make an effort to see me during the week, because he's also busy. So it was like, I don't care. I won't see you for the week. And I would see him for the weekends. But obviously for the weekends was the only time that I could also see my mid-distance friends. Not really. They just went to different schools. So we didn't see each other during the week, because they had their own stuff with their friends at their school. So I was so good at keeping a balance between, I always saw my friends every weekend, but I also saw my mid-distance boyfriend every weekend, where like one night would be date night, and then the other day I would spend the entire Saturday with my friends. Or if I spent all of Friday afternoon and night with my friends, then I would spend all Saturday day with my boyfriend. And then at night we would do something where we would combine friend groups. Like, we'll do something with his friends and my friends, and then we'll all hang out, all of us, so that he could spend time with his friends, I could spend time with my friends, but also together. And I think go it's
okay. And one thing that I was really good at too is that whenever we were in group settings, like, yeah, you can have PDA. I would hold his hand sometimes, or like he'll give me like a forehead kiss before going off to like the kitchen with his guy friends, and I would stay outside with my friends. But it was never like it was the two of us having our own side conversations, and then like our friends hanging out. It was like I would generally make an effort to hang out with his friends alone while he's talking to my friends, or I would generally make an effort to talk to my friends and he would be talking to his friends, or dynamic would be we're all hanging out.
Yeah, that is really good, because being the friend that also saw that from the outside, because I've never had a boyfriend, but being the friend that was often, my friends have boyfriends, you can see a difference when someone makes an effort to make you still important in their life. I had a situation, and I was talking to my therapist about it. It was a couple of years ago, and it was just like I had this really close friend, and she got a boyfriend, and she forgot about all her friends, and I was very upset with that. And my therapist was like, well, now she has a different priority, like it's something new in her life, but at the same time, it's not nice when you keep trying to hang out with the person and the person is never available, but every day they're with
it's also draining. It makes you feel very neglected.
No, but it's really good that you had that dynamic. It's amazing.
But I've also experienced that of my friends completely, like whenever they would get a boyfriends, like I actually have like a couple friends where it's like, hello, how are you? And then they would text me like, actually I can hang out today because my boyfriend now has this last minute thing. And I'll be like,
and it's just like they break up and then they come rushing to you, trauma dumping, and you're like, well, I don't know how to help you.
Yeah, sometimes I have to, it depends, obviously it depends on the dynamic, on how it was before the friendship and how close you guys are and how much she did tell you, because I do understand that of like being closed off a little bit when you're in a relationship, because you really don't want to, you wouldn't want to protect this person you
of course
love, but at the same time like you also want to get help from your friends.
No, it's important because maybe you want a different perspective of a discussion that you had with your boyfriend, or even tell your friends a situation where they're like, well, I think you're the wrong one in this situation. I think you should reach out and apologize and everything. Your friends are going to be there as a support system, and it's so important because, for example, if you go to family, if you go to your dad or your brother, sister, to your mom, and they want to protect you and they want to see you in best shapes, and I understand the struggle of seeing your child. I don't understand because I don't have a child, but I'm aware that there is a struggle to want to see your child well 100 times, that they're gonna take your side or do everything that they can to not see you in that situation. So that is also why it's important for you to have friends that hold you accountable for the things that you do wrong, and that support you when you did something right and you need to solve a situation.
And when they hold you accountable, it's kind of it. I think something really important is showing that you're doing it out of love.
Yes, yeah. And especially with boundaries, when you stipulate your boundaries, you're doing, this is also something that I talked to my therapist about, when you show that, when you set your boundaries with a friend or anyone else, you're showing them that you want them to stay in your life, but this hurts you, or the situation is not pleasant to you, or you would like things to go differently. And it's important to understand their boundaries as well. We cannot blame someone for the way they feel. We don't have that right, but we can try to understand and try to fix it. And I think that's really important. Holding your friends accountable, but out of a place of love and not shame, or not to
kind of uplift them and be like, hey, this is what hurt me. I think this should be changed in this way. By just, so you know, I'm communicating this with you so we can keep our friendship going in a healthy direction though. Yeah.
And hey, you did something wrong with your partner, and I would like you guys to be happy. And in my point of view, this is what I would feel if I was in his place, and try to have that conversation and allow your friends to open up with you without judging. Maybe you don't agree with a lot of things that they did, but it's important to not make them feel shameful, you know. So,
well, that's great. I'm amazing. I love it. Lovely. So we've reached 30 minutes already, and I think Yeah, already. That's actually 30 minutes.
I
know.
I could be.
I
I would keep going for
it
so long.
passes by so fast. And I think we've covered most of our bullet points, to be honest. And obviously, this is endless. We can obviously do so many more parts about this and cover different topics about this.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Thank you so much, Larissa, for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, and providing your... What's the word? My brain is not braining today. Knowledge.
I don't know, knowledge or opinions, takes.
Providing your takes. To be honest, my brain is already brain fried from today. I've done so much. But so thank you for listening to today's episode.
Thank you, guys.
Hope you have a great week.
Nice to meet you. Bye-bye.
Peace out.